Thanks for tuning into the Sixth Street Podcast. I'm your host, Joel, with my co-host, Isaiah, today. Ben's in the process of sleep training. You know how that is as a cakewalk if you're a parent. Isaiah just was so good as a parent, he didn't even sleep train. So let's take advice from him in a future podcast about being a dad and how to kill it.
Yeah.
So this is our first podcast for the position rankings for defenses. We have completed special teams and coaching and offense. And so it's coming together. We have 3 more to go, and this will kick it off with defensive line. Now, that obviously takes pass rushing linebackers into account. I tried to make sure that if they were a pass rush specific linebacker, they were still included on this.
The elusive edge designation.
Yes. Edge, D tackle, nose tackle, D end, left end, right end, whatever, anchor. All those are, that's why there's significantly more names for defensive line than there will be for linebackers next week.
Yeah.
So we'll try to run through those as quick as possible here, but I will have the luxury of going first. And I think a lot of people may have had, I think they're unanimous top 2. I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
To me, they're loaded. Brandon Graham has been consistently solid, even in his elderly state. Fletcher Cox, also in his elderly state. They have done a great job of replenishing with young talent. So Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, both out of Georgia, are there to fill up the middle. Josh Sweat is one of the most explosive edge rushers. Hassan Reddick is an outside linebacker, has been solid. Then they draft Nolan Smith, also out of Georgia this year. Derek Barnett, we remember, out of Tennessee. Then, other guys that are just going to be rotational pieces if they don't even make this deep roster. Milton Williams, Janarius Robinson, Kentavious Street, Marlon Tuipulotu, and Moro Ajomo.
Ooh, that's a lot of O's.
That's a lot of O's. I'm O'd out.
Yeah, everywhere I looked, it was a lot of difference in the top, where the top 3 were, but the top 3 were almost unanimous everywhere. D-lines rushing D-line squad. So, I had the Eagles at 3. So
okay.
With that, I think, and I might have said this last year, and maybe I should stop saying it if it was wrong last year, but just the fact that Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox do at some point have to stop being productive, just with age.
Yeah.
But they again,
at the very least, though, mentors to guys like Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis, though, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. They lost Javon Hargrave.
Yep.
So there's that. That's not an insignificant thing. And I think when the day I made this list, the news about Jalen Carter, there was more news about Jalen Carter in that whole Georgia crash where he was racing people, and I was just is his I don't know. I was just is this is he going to have some difficulties this year because his mind's off the field? So I think that's why I was maybe I'll bump him down.
Well, we talked about that pick on draft night. The reason they and then at the end of the draft, the reason they surrounded themselves was all Georgia guys, was accountability, hopefully. Even bring DeAndre Swift in as a trade from Georgia. They're pretty much Georgia's professional roster now. So, yeah, who do you have hanging there at number 2 then / number 1?
Okay, my number 1, and who I probably the most underrated of the 3 teams that I saw a lot in the top 3 would be the Washington Commanders.
They're good, yeah.
Huge, big question mark with Chase Young, with him coming back from injury, missing basically the entire season. There were trade rumors about him. There's rumors about him leaving whenever he kind of gets the chance. I don't know how much those rumors are real. I think people just like to throw names out there sometimes. He was connected to the Lions in rumors, so I wouldn't hate that. Although he did go to Ohio State, but in his rookie season he was dominant. Just drafted so well. Those top 4 guys, Montez Sweat, Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, are just some of the best.
That's the best first 4 name guys on this list. Yes. That's what I would say.
Yeah, if you're doing a 4-man rush, if you're not blitzing there is probably no other room in the NFL where or other 4 guys on one team that you would want besides those 4.
I agree.
There may be other dudes on other teams, like top end rushers, but like having those four all next to each other, is just like it's amazing. As God, oh, yeah. It was gonna be an inappropriate joke, so I won't say it. But
I
not
like those. So just off the air.
you got guys like Shaka Tony back
Oh,
in so but yeah, I think that top four is just really what set it apart in mine. I'm not too familiar with a bunch of the other guys on our list, but that's probably the most solid top four on any team.
That's kind of the reason I had him at 3, but I mean, like I 100% agree. That's the best first four. In today's NFL, I just see the need to rotate in healthy bodies and
Right.
refreshed bodies. So I tried to like find a little more depth, and I think that's why I listed so many names. Was I'm like, I think there's more importance in depth for some of these heavy set players to have to rotate in. So,
and they don't really have that. That's kind of their knock against the other top tier teams, like the Eagles, and like probably our third pick.
yeah.
They have a bit more backing up their top end guys.
Yeah, I don't know if this was your third pick or / number 2, but I have the 49ers next.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Nick Bosa leading the charge there, and then picking up Javon Hargrave, who you just mentioned. That's a significant addition. Like
it's huge.
A big loss for the Eagles. So Eric Armstead's been consistent. He's been with that roster for a long time, knows that defensive scheme that Shanahan likes to run. Drake Jackson in his second year, edge rusher out of USC. Javon Kinlaw, obviously very high top 10 first round pick a couple years ago out of South Carolina. Cleveland Farrell, one of the biggest busts so far, but obviously picked number 4 for a reason. So if you can get it together with the 49ers, maybe a change of scenery helps him.
He's still young.
Yeah, former Lion, Kerry Hyder, Austin Bryant, and Alex Barrett, all former Lions on this roster. And then you add Kalia Davis, Marlon Davidson, and Kevin Givens as rotational pieces. But it's again, it's another team that, maybe that depth isn't as good as like it looks on paper. Kerry Hyder's old. Austin Bryant barely saw time with the Lions in his last season there. So who knows how much they contribute. But again, even a solid first 5 guys, I really like there. So
yeah, I think the addition of Javon Hargrave is very big to help free up Nick Bosa. Teams have to they can't just double team him every single down, where they have other guys. I mean, in the 49ers, I think their rushing schemes and designs are very unique, and Nick Bosa gets free even with double teams and even with stuff. They're very good at disguising rush and where they're coming from, and I think having Javon Hargrave there now, yeah, you got Javon Kinlaw. Hopefully Cleveland Farrell can be what he wasn't for the Raiders. I mean, I always put stock in those guys who are high draft picks and just were in crappy organizations. But I think sometimes they were in the crappy organization too long, and it may have beat them down to never be.
We talk about, remember Greg Robinson for the Lions gave a shot on Greg Robinson, an offensive tackle, former 2nd overall pick.
Yeah,
it worked for a kid. A couple games where it was like, wow, and then he had a couple of games where it was like, now there you are.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, it could be if it works out, it could be awesome. Maybe looked at as but yeah, those top 3 everywhere, pretty much everywhere I saw was everybody's top 3. So, oh, excuse me. All right, is it my turn next?
Yeah, you got 4, baby.
Okay, I'm gonna go with let me see. Oh, he was not. Okay. I thought he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year last year. The helmet smacking Myles Garrett. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, Myles Garrett is a perennial contender for Defensive Player of the Year. He is always a problem, no matter what team he's up against. You have Jordan Elliott, Zadarius Smith, who bounced around the NFC North, so we're familiar with him. Dalvin Tomlinson, Maurice Hurst, Those guys, I like that kind of top few guys that'll be rotating in and out, and then Michael Dwumfor. Why do I know
Yeah.
that?
He went to Michigan and then he transferred to Rutgers.
Right, yes. Yeah, so maybe I don't want him to be good, but Ogbo Okoronkwo, or what do you say?
Are you
that?
having a stroke? Do I need to call someone?
just like Mitch McConnell.
Man, you almost went like Mitch McConnell right there for a minute.
Ogbo Okoronkwo.
Ronquo.
But yeah, I'll go with the Browns. I'll stop saying names to stop.
Togiai.
Tommy Togiai.
Yeah.
Siaka Ika.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
You did good. That wasn't bad.
All right.
I had them at 7, so not bad.
Okay.
My number 4 was actually just gonna follow suit with your Bosa pick, or our Bosa pick there at 3. I was gonna take the next Bosa group, the Chargers, with Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the edges, and then having Sebastian Joseph Day in the middle, along with Austin Johnson, who's a former 2nd-round pick, Morgan Cox, Tuli Tuipulotu also was, I think, a 2nd or 3rd-round pick. They got a Tito Agbania, former Lion, Nick Williams, and former Michigan defensive tackles Chris Hinton and Carlo Kemp.
Carlo Kemp, baby.
So yeah, they got and then Chris Rumpf and Scott Matlock. But I just the edge combination still of the aging Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. It still seems lethal, and I think getting Sebastian Joseph Day in the middle, who's a proven interior lineman, that should help.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good pick. I had him at 7, so just past that. So, yeah, I'm gonna go with my next pick, and I'm gonna go with everybody's favorite team to hate, the Dallas Cowboys. DeMarcus Lawrence has just quietly been one of the best rushers in the league for the past couple of years. They got Mozzie Smith, who that's nice to see. Micah Parsons, my dream draft pick a couple years ago for the Lions, who I just wanted them so badly to have Micah Parsons fall to them.
It worked out. We got Penei Sewell. We didn't expect Penei Sewell, though. That's why we mocked Parsons there.
Right. No, that's the thing. We didn't expect Penei Sewell to fall, but and that's the tough thing. They could have picked either one, and it would have been just as successful.
And a lot of people have Penei Sewell as a top 4 offensive tackle in the league right now. So,
and Micah Parsons is probably a top 5 edge rusher. So yeah. Osa Odigizua.
Good job. Now you're getting it.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I like the team a lot. Again, as I always am not familiar with a bunch of the rounding out players, but
Dante Fowler. He's been around. And Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan Hankins has been in for a week.
I feel like I know Chauncey Golston too.
He's in this will be his 3rd year in the league.
Okay.
And Ben Benogu from TCU.
Jonathan Hankins. Okay, maybe I do know some of these names.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously Dante Fowler is a big one, man. He was big time edge rusher. He was I think he might have been a 5th overall pick one year.
He was. Yeah, he was on. Did he play for?
Seen Amari Cooper's draft class? Was he 2017? 20?
I'm looking. Well, he was on Jacksonville.
2017? I'm trying to think.
2016.
Okay, yeah.
He's on Jacksonville, and then he was.
Was he 4th overall pick?
He was on the Rams.
What
3rd overall. 2015 NFL draft. Sorry, 2015.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I knew he was top 5. Shoot.
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe there's something there, but again, he's hitting 30, I think now. So I don't think that's.
He's 20. He will be 29 next week.
Okay, so yeah, okay.
Yeah. But that's usually
I'm
30.
1 off on everything right now with him.
Yeah.
I was 1 year
30
off.
is usually
1 pick off. I was 1 age off.
30 is usually the higher end for defensive line. So
it was a good pick though, because I had the Cowboys as my 5. So they fell right where they needed to be. So I gotta find my 6 here.
Yeah, because Fletcher Cox is only 32, and he seems like he's 50.
Yeah. Okay, so my 6 is the New York Giants. But this is the what, 6th overall pick here? Trying to
Yep.
figure out where we're at.
No, yes.
You picked the Browns at 4, I picked the Chargers at 5, you picked the Cowboys at 6. And then at 7, we had the Giants. So yeah, Leonard
Yeah,
Williams.
I didn't have the Chargers marked off. Here we go. That's why. Yeah.
Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Ashawn Robinson, Kayvon Thibodeau, Aziz Ojulari, O'Shane Zimenez, DJ Davidson, Ryder Anderson, Raheem Nunez Noches, and Jihad Ward. So again, actually some guys that I really like as rotational pieces. O'Shane Zimenez was a starter for a while. Aziz Ojulari obviously is in that rotation. Raheem Nunez Noches was a long time rotational piece for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So there's some guys
Jihad
there.
Ward.
Jihad Ward.
That can't be your name. That's illegal.
To be a part of the civil jihad.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we know that Leonard Williams is one on top at his position. Ashawn Robinson left the Lions and became better when he went to the Rams, and now we'll see if that continues here with the Giants. Kayvon Thibodeau is expected to be solid, but then the rotational pieces of Aziz Ojulari and Zimenez, I like that there.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah. All right. I'm going to stay in that region of the country, and I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. At what are we at, 8?
Yeah, they're my next available too. Nice work.
Yeah. They were my 6, actually. Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton had a great year last year. Cameron Hayward
Wisconsin. Yeah, he played for Wisconsin last year. Keanu Benton, he's a rookie this year.
He is a rookie this year.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Alex Highsmith. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. That makes
Alex
sense.
Highsmith had a breakout year. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. And then rookie Keanu Benton. But then you have TJ Watt, defensive player of the year last year, or not this past season, but the season before, right? Yeah. And then he had a lot of injuries this year. That was it. Cameron Hayward is super old, so we'll see how good he can still be in the interior. I think he's 35.
He's right up there with Fletcher Cox. Yeah, they're old.
Yeah. So at some point he's gonna fall off, but solid team right there. Isaiah Loudermilk. Shout out any Isaiahs I see. DeMarvin Leo, Marcus Golden. So pretty good.
It's interesting. I was looking back at one of the first interviews we had with Jeff Risdon on this show, and we were talking about players to look at in a way too early mock draft for the Lions, and he specifically mentioned DeMarvin Leo out of Texas A&M, and I think this is DeMarvin's second year now, but he was not super effective last year. I thought he was going to be a little better. A lot of people had him as a late first, second round pick. Marcus Golden, obviously, a lot of experience in the league. Nick Herbig. So, but it's another really good team that I actually really like. I battled back and forth for a while. I'm I think I can move these guys up a couple spots and not be mad.
Yeah, it's not the best depth. There's definitely better depth on some of the other teams that we have on our top 10, but which is why even with TJ Watt being one of the best edge rushers in the league, they still fall. But I think they definitely have a lot of potential to I think the depth is decent. It's not terrible, but Cameron Hayward just has to still hang on. And then TJ Watt just can't be hurt every other game. So
I'll take here at 9. I'll take the Green Bay Packers. Okay. A position where the Packers have to be good this year because their offense looks to be dreadful, other than their run game. So, Packers, obviously Kenny Clark is a stud. Preston Smith is a stud. Rashawn Gary is the anchor. Devontae Wyatt, they expect to, hopefully improve on his rookie year last year. He was on the same team with Jordan Davis, and a lot of people were like, maybe he was overshadowed, but no, he's got to break out this year. Then you have Kingsley Egnegbare from South Carolina. TJ Slayton's there. John Ford. Lucas Vaness is their first round pick out of Iowa this year, so expect him to contribute. And then Carl Brooks and Justin Hounds have all had roles on other teams. So that should help them too. Again, I think getting Lucas Vaness helps. I don't like to put a ton of weight on rookies because you don't know exactly what you're going to get, but Lucas Vaness was your first round pick, so it's got to be something there.
Yeah. He hopefully will see a lot of playing time just so that it can make sense that they picked him in the first round. But I wouldn't have minded if the Lions picked him at some point with one of their later picks. So I don't dislike him. But yeah, it's a pretty good team.
In the moment, I like that pick wanted Lucas Vaness over Jack Campbell. In the moment, I do remember that. Yeah. And looking at it now, it's like we needed a dog like Jack Campbell, but I don't know.
No, I remember when, at that pick, I think their second first rounder. I was. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go next. I'm gonna stay in the same region of the country I was already in the Northeast. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. They have a lot of depth to their defensive line rotation. So they have AJ Epinesa, Jordan Phillips, and Boogie Basham, who are all kind of just rotational pieces who could see like significant playing time, I think, on other teams. Your boy Poona Ford, just being a boy with a great name. After being on my Cowboys.
Yeah, he was on the Seahawks too for several years.
Yeah. But you have on the top end, you have Greg Rousseau, who hopefully still develops to being an elite edge rusher. Ed Oliver, Von Miller, who's still just putting up numbers. Shaq Lawson, Leonard Floyd, Daquan Jones. There's a lot of names there. There's a lot of very good edge rushers. I think Gregory Rousseau needs to develop to be like there with Ed Oliver as their key pieces. Because Von Miller's just is aging, and like some of those other guys are just good rotational pieces. But it's very, very deep. Like even when those top end guys are off the field, like they still have guys to take their place and do really well.
Yeah, they have great depth. And like I'm honestly, it's funny that Shane Ray probably won't even make this team, but Shane Ray he was a early first round pick. I want to say 2014 or 2015. And he has not panned out in the league very well. So it's going to be interesting to see if he is this a team that can be a home for him. Tim Settle, obviously, he's like his seventh year after several years with the Commanders. But yeah, Von Miller is going to basically turn into like what Justin Houston was his last several years in the league. Mm-hmm. Being a solid edge rusher when he's in, but maybe only getting about 40-50% of the snaps.
Right. Yeah. Maybe only being every other down. But when he's in, you have to account for him. Like no matter if he's 28 years old or 35 years old, whatever it is.
Yeah, that was a good spot. You picked him at 10. And 11.
Did he have an ACL?
That's the one thing I seldom study for football is what injuries they had, but just because there's too many. But let's see who I got next here.
Yeah, he had an ACL like the end of the season. So hopefully he can come back from that, because that would suck if he just was like a shell of himself. All right, where are we going next?
Oh, I'm deciding because I didn't look at any websites for even points of reference. So I'm like, oh man, am I going to be like way off like these professionals? But because I just literally did it by eyeball and like what I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, part of me is wondering, I'm like, how much do these professional experts like know on these guys compared to me? And so I'm pretty high on the Vikings. I had the Vikings here. And I like Marcus Davenport, obviously finding a new home after years with the Saints. He was a first round pick as well. Dean Lowry was very successful with the Packers for a minute there. Khyiris Tonga went to BYU, had some nice years. I think he was with the Bears. And then Harrison Phillips, another guy that was like a late first round pick. Daniil Hunter has been a menace. Obviously, he's aging. And then DJ Wanham was really surprisingly solid last year. I like that guy right there. And then Sheldon Day on the back end of the rotation. And you got other guys like Patrick Jones, Jaquan Roy, Jonathan Bullard, Asezi Odomewo, Ross Blacklock, and Andre Carter II out of Army. I think Andre Carter II came out of Army. So, and then former Michigan Wolverine that transferred to Wake Forest, Luigi Villon.
Never heard of him.
He barely played for Michigan, but he transferred.
All right. So I'm going to pick a team. And I don't know if it's a reach. But I saw them pretty high up on some lists. It was like the super like let's get deep into the weeds analytics type stuff. So I don't know. But they had like good PFF grades. They had good like other stuff. So I'm gonna go with the Miami Dolphins.
That happened. Okay. Whatever PFF says.
Apparently all these guys. So they have Bradley Chubb, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips had a very good year last year. Christian Wilkins has been pretty solid in the interior. He's Roquan Davis, Bradley Chubb, though, are also good there. Emmanuel Agba, younger, still developing, but has been solid. So I'm just going based off of what other people told me.
PFF, very reputable.
Has them at 4.
That is crazy.
PFF has them at 4. I'm telling you.
Really?
Yeah, I had him at 10. I have him right where I picked him at 10, but PFF had them very high. Other places, like I saw some places having them similarly low, but also then randomly like very high. So
I am at 21 on my list, so it is so 9 spots early apparently, but I'm just a man. You're just a man. Just a man. Amen and a woman.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right. My next one is the Tampa Bay Bucks. They've typically in the last several ones we've done have finished towards the top in defensive line rankings. They have lost a little bit of talent over. Obviously now your boy is on that roster. Jason Pierre-Paul no longer over there. Yeah, but they still got Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, and then they drafted Kalijah Kancey in the middle of the first round. Logan Hall was, I think, a 32nd overall pick a couple years ago out of Houston. And
Yaya Diaby?
It's one of the best names for sure.
We have Yaya.
Ding dong. Yaya ding dong.
I am Lord. Yaya.
And then Joe Tryon-Shoyinka was also one of the last picks of the first round out of Washington. Anthony Nelson, Patrick O'Connor out of Eastern Michigan, and former Lion. Do you remember him on the Lions? Greg Gaines, Deidreon Sanat, and Cam Gill, CJ Brewer. Some other guys probably may not make the roster, but I like even some of the depth. And obviously there's potential there. Like you want Logan Hall to work out. You want Joe Tryon-Shoyinka to work out. But even if they don't, Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea are one of the best at their position. So,
yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go next. I'm making my way from, I started up in I think we started up in like Pittsburgh, made our way down to over to Buffalo, back to all the way down to Miami. We're back up into the northeast northeast. I don't know if it's the northeast, but I'm gonna go with the Cincinnati Bengals at 12. Two big free agent names in Trey Hendrickson and DJ Reader, who should really help that team because they have not been that great. But Sam Hubbard has still been solid for them. Joseph Osai, still looking to see like what he will turn out to be. But then they have Miles Murphy. Was he a first round pick?
Miles Murphy was a second round pick, but he was projected first round for a while.
He was projected first round. He was I think when we did our rankings, he was one of the top defensive or the top edge prospects. So Cam Sample, I know that name for some reason. Terrell Basham, that's a good name. Jay Tufili. So
USC, yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Bengals there. I think they got some good top end talent. It'll with like having free agent signings, it'll be interesting to see how everything meshes, especially Miles Murphy as a rookie, and then Joseph Osai. He has this year 2.
Joseph Ossai's year, yes, I think so, out of Texas, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he had the greatest time last year, but hopefully with some better
He
talent.
got chewed. Wasn't he cussed out by Jermaine Pratt after and like walking back to the locker room? Just trying to remember that.
But hopefully with him not like having some better players around him, he can develop better. So, but yeah, I mean, Hendrickson was ranked again. I'm looking at PFF. I don't just have mine in the order of PFF. Thank you very much, but I am looking at them. Trey Hendrickson was 15th at his position, and Reader was top 10 for the third time in 4 years. PFF grade. So, yeah. So I think they belong right there. At what are we at? 13, 12, 12?
Yeah, I have 14. Yeah. So
14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my 15 was my 13, and that's the Detroit Lions.
Hey, they're my 12.
All right, so they slipped for both of us a little bit.
They slipped for both of us. We should have picked them earlier.
Oh, good. Aiden Hutchinson sneaks his way onto the top 100 for NFL rankings. I saw on last special. Yeah, I think he was somewhere in the 80s. Actually, I think he was 88.
I mean, these top 100 rankings have kind of been stupid, but boy.
I know. I don't think I'm on Ron St. Brown's going to be on it. It's based now.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Aiden Hutchinson's on there. Aleem McNeil has just continued to improve out of NC State. Getting James Houston looks like a steal. I think James Houston's going to kind of come back to earth. People are going to learn how to play him a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Isaiah Buggs came on strong after some years with the Steelers. John Kaminsky out of nowhere off the Falcons. So a lot of guys have rejuvenated their careers essentially with Detroit, which is a rarity. Usually they get better when they leave. Josh Pascal, we still expect him to be what he was as a second round pick. Charles Harris and Romeo Okwara both took pay cuts to come help rotate in and out of the defensive end position. Drafting Broderick Martin looked a little early, but he'll be in there with Levi and Muzurike, who's bouncing back from 2 years in a row of leg injuries. And then they signed Christian Covington to go along with Benito Jones, who also had a rotational part in the interior last year. So I actually looked it up. Christian Covington's the oldest guy in the Lions defense, and he's 30.
Wow.
So they are a very young defense.
Which is good and bad. I mean, you have
right. It's like
you have a lot of unproven talent, but you also have a lot of
pieces for the future, right? I mean, both of them.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Tennessee Titans here next. Sorry, I just had another moment.
I was wondering if you could change your answer. The Titans at 27.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's all good.
Yeah, so I think they had a big signing also with Arden Key, who had a pretty good year with the Jaguars last year. Harold Landry III returning for being off all of last year, but they have Danico Autry. How do you say this?
Tyre Tart. Yeah, Tyre Tart.
Tyre Tart. Jeffrey Simmons, who all had pretty good years last year. So yeah, we'll have them right there.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry a lot. Arden Key's serviceable. I think Autry's serviceable, and to me, Tart's serviceable. I know they put up good numbers, but they had never put up good numbers before that, so I have them just a little bit lower. Obviously, you can like count some of the depth. Like I like Jaleel Johnson, who spent some seasons with the Vikings. Tyler Shelvin is out of LSU, and expect him to be pretty solid. Naquan Jones is okay. So they've got some decent pieces even for depth. And maybe I don't know if they deserve 27, but I kind of figured early 20s as a ceiling. But Yeah, it's interesting. PFF angles some of these things. They have the numbers I don't. I
I'm
didn't
just
I
looking at
didn't
the
sit
numbers.
I didn't sit and calculate each win rate like they did.
Oh, right.
I don't have time. I have a lot of time, but I don't have that kind of stuff. So all right, 17. Who do I got here? Give me about 14 minutes. I'll find it. Hang on. This is a shot. I don't know about this. Shoot, yeah, okay. I'm going to go with this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans next.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
Drafting Will Anderson Jr. seems like he's going to be a specimen for a while at this position. Obviously, I tried not to put a ton of weight into Will Anderson, but I think I accidentally did. Sheldon Rankins, Malik Collins are both very solid interior linemen. Chase Winovich, maybe there's a homer in me that really like that there. Jonathan Grenard, Roy Lopez has also been a good rotational piece inside. Jerry Hughes is about 114, but still is he's like Justin Houston Walmart version. Um,
Mhm.
and then Derek Rivers has been spent some good years with the Broncos. Thomas Booker, the fourth out of Stanford University. Hassan Ridgeway. They've got and Jacob Martin. So they've got a lot of guys that have been around for a while that have been contributing pieces. I think maybe put a little bit of weight into Will Anderson being like supposed to be like the Andrew Luck of quarterbacks for DNs, like a surefire deal.
Sure.
As a lot of people expect Will Anderson to be.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. I think, yeah, I think most defensive end prospects, even as highly rated as they can be, they do have some growing pains right away. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson had him last year.
His run stopping was not good. He crashed
Yeah.
too hard a lot
Yep.
at the beginning.
And through 6 games, I remember last year being like, okay, what's happening, man? And it turned.
We had that one game I watched at your apartment where he had 3 sacks against the Commanders, right? He sacked
Right.
Carson Wentz 3 times, and we're like, yes. And then
Yeah.
he was terrible again.
Yeah, and then he figured it out at the end of the season. Like he was consistently pretty good. The second half of the season.
Mhm.
I think I don't think Will Anderson is going to be, immune to having some of those early hiccups like most are, no matter how high. Like, I mean, yeah, there's always every rookie has an acclimation period with the game.
Do you expect him to eventually be as good as like a TJ Watt?
I mean, I just from everything coming out about anything, like I don't have any reason to not expect that.
I know I mean, the catalyst is we thought Chase Young had that same potential, and Chase Young has battled injuries almost his entire career.
Well,
So that's the only thing that sets anybody back, really, right?
sure, and that's tough. It's injury, like, because that's the tough thing. It's like, okay, if Chase Young plays, I mean, last year is one of the best, or 2 years ago, 2 seasons ago, he's one of the best edge rushers. And he misses a season, basically. So is he going to come back and be just as good? Is he going to take a step back because he's got a bad knee? Is he just going to fight injuries? It's like, if like taking anytime I look at like the outlook on a rookie's career, I try not to factor in injuries just because it's like, who knows? So given no major career defining injuries, I would say I have no reason to expect Will Anderson to not be consistently for the next 5 years, one of the best defensive players in the league. I think if he doesn't win defensive rookie of the year, it's missing expectations.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at other prospects for that spot yet, but yeah, he should be really. I think shouldn't expect anything less than 9 sacks from him this year, right?
Yeah. There's no reason he shouldn't have as good of a season, if not better, as Aiden Hutchinson had last year.
Agreed.
Maybe not.
Agreed.
But yeah. Okay. Next up.
Yeah, 18th.
I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris Jones has quietly been one of the best defensive players in the league.
He's not
past
showing
few
up to camp though. You seeing that? He's like, I don't like my
Okay.
I don't like my contract at all.
Well, I did these rankings before that, so
That's true. Fair enough. Yep.
but still, if he plays, one of the best defensive players in the NFL. George Karlaftis has been there a while. They got they did they lose Frank Clark? Yeah, Frank Clark's gone, but they got Charles
Menahu. Yeah.
Menahu.
Do the Felix name. Do the Felix name.
To hopefully take his place. Derek Niadi.
Yeah, Natty.
Yeah, Felix Anadike.
Anudiki. Felix Anudiki.
What is this? Anudiki Uzama.
Like CJ Uzama, right?
Yep. So yeah, I think they're right there. Danny Shelton, I know that name.
He's a former Lion, so
yeah, there you go. That's probably one.
Yeah, I mean the Chris Jones holdout is interesting. Obviously, you think that they're going to get it fixed, but the problem is the Chiefs have been storing so much money for Patrick Mahomes that it really can financially cripple your team from having any other superstars. So Chris Jones is going to have to figure out what is more important to him.
Super Bowls or millions of dollars.
Obviously, we know Mike Dana. He went to Michigan and then he's transferred to Central.
Sure.
And Karlaftis was in the same draft class as Aiden Hutchinson last year. So that's I think he's pretty good actually. I liked him a lot. Yeah, I think he went to Purdue, right? So he was good. They actually, yeah, I had him right at 18 and you picked him here at 18, so that worked. Who is my next available? All right. So I had the okay, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars here next. Davon Hamilton in the middle is great. Josh Allen and Kayvon Chaisson, along with Trayvon Walker on the edge. So that's some good stuff right there. Roy Robertson Harris, another good interior piece. Folorunshu Fatukasi hanging out. Adam Gotsis, Tyler Lacey, Michael Dogby, Jordan Smith, and Deshaun Dixon. So I don't like the depth at all out after Kayvon Chaisson. I mean, Gotsis is okay. But like edge rotation of Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Kayvon Chaisson, and Folorunshu Fatukasi. Like that a lot. Interior is, I think, slightly above it. I'd give their interior probably a high B. So I like those guys too quite a bit. Just the depth is concerning if they ever get tired or injuries.
Yeah, I agree. Depth is a concern there. But yeah, I mean, Josh Allen again, one of like the what ifs with the Lions. He was picked right for them, and then now TJ Hawkinson, who was picked after him, just isn't even on the team. Move. Can you imagine if? Oh, yeah, I remember wanting Josh Allen so bad that year.
I love Josh Allen.
He was like, they're all just gonna pick quarterback, like it's Daniel Jones.
But I remember I was at a bachelor party. We were at and we were actually at a gun range. We were shooting skeet shooting at a gun range indoor. And I remember like I told everyone, do not tell me what's happening at all. I don't want to know what's going on. And then I got to my car and I had like voicemails and texts from like people like blowing up. They drafted a tight end. Oh my goodness. Like Ebron flashbacks happened. And I was like, no.
Could you imagine if Josh Allen was on the Lions right now with Aiden Hutchinson? I mean, they may not have picked Aiden, but like they probably would have.
I would put the Lions top 5. I think I'd have the Lions about 4 or 5 if they had Josh Allen.
So one of the ones that got away. But yeah, no, good team. I like them. I do dislike Trayvon Walker because everybody.
I think he's going to be a bust for first overall pick standards, but I think he's going to be good enough. Like he won't be looked at as an all-time bust because I think he's still going to give you 5 to 8 sacks a year.
Yeah. Okay. I am going to go next. I'm going to go with. Maybe I'm just picking them because they have one really good player and then a bunch of dudes. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers next. Again, Brian Burns, wasn't there trade rumors and stuff about him this year too?
A little bit here and there, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess okay. They have Derek Brown too in the interior, and I think he's
Yeah.
pretty good.
And Shy Tuttle.
Yeah, but I think obviously Brian Burns is the key to that unit being successful. But yeah, you have Shy Tuttle, Deshaun Williams, Yatir Gross Matos. What is that? 2 years ago.
Penn State, yeah. He was one of the guys
Yeah.
I think that helped make Micah Parsons pee on somebody, you know, in a hazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah. John Pennicini.
Hey, former Lion. He came out of retirement to join the Panthers.
Nice. I don't like that everybody thinks the Panthers are just going to be amazing this year, but
I know. I see people like giving them like an 11-6 record.
they must have all watched that Lions game last year.
No, that's all they want.
That was the only time they looked anywhere near a competent team.
And they don't even have Deontay Foreman on that roster anymore. He's on the Bears.
So, but yeah, I'll go with the Panthers there. I think having Brian Burns, I don't think you should be much lower than what are we at, 22?
Yeah, I am at 24. So yeah, it's not only 4 spots. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's see who I got here next. My next pick available is actually have them at 16, and I'm going to take my 21 here. It's the Vegas Raiders. You know, Max Crosby with Chandler Jones at the edge. Tyree Wilson, obviously another high first round pick. Really like that. And then Jerry Tillery and Bilal Nichols. Nichols did a nice job as a nose tackle with the Bears for several years. Tillery's been in the league for a while. I think he was with the Chargers for a couple years. And then Jordan Willis is a ripped man. He's big. After that, don't really like it other than one of the best names, Nesta Jade Silvera.
I mean, yeah, Tyree Wilson, like besides Will Anderson, some people think he could be the best edge in the draft. I don't think most people actually had him that high, but a lot of like people were like, "Oh, for sure, first rounder." Like he's so good, but so
maybe just Chandler and Max Crosby alone. To me, that's actually probably a top 3 or 4 defensive end edge rushing tandem in this league.
I think this, like, I really do like Max Crosby, but so much of his game is just his motor. Like it's hard to keep that motor up all season.
What's the common denominator for players with motors? They're white. They're just white. Like honestly, like that's and whenever we say a white player is good, it's he's got a constant motor, just goes hard all the time.
True. Yeah.
He's a good locker room guy, right? That's all we hear. Strong hands.
Okay, speaking of, I guess they don't have that many white guys anymore. But a team that's been known for their white players, I'm going to go with England Patriots.
Yep, that's the white team.
Yep. And maybe part of me is just because of their coach. I think this unit is really good, but
yeah, I'm 25. That's not bad.
Yeah, Matt Judon, very good. I always liked him at the Ravens. He still did very well for Bill Belichick at the Patriots. Michigan man Josh Uche. So they don't have Chase Winovich anymore. So it's not just Michigan, professional Michigan team anymore.
And Judon's Grand Valley. So
right. So kinda. Yeah. In spirit. Yeah. I still expect some out of Christian Barmore. So I think he could be I think he could still develop. Dietrich Wise actually had a pretty decent year last year. I lost the names in front of me. Keon White, he was
a rookie this year out of Georgia Tech.
Yeah, but
he was projected. He was actually at the draft party for the first round, but he was mad because he didn't get selected.
Right. Okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, if Bill Belichick wants you on his defense in the second round, you must have something to you. So hopefully he'll prove useful in that system. You got Lawrence Guy, Carl Davis. I know those names. Daniel, let me keep going with the names. Daniel.
Yeah. What did you say?
Daniel Ekuale.
Ekwale.
Okay. So yeah, there we go.
All right. I can dig it. I'll go with another team that is notorious for having a good coach and now getting their defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, back. Let's go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
I have the Ravens at 19, and they were my next available. Having Michael Pierce, Odafe Owe, and David Ojabo finally healthy. We should see what he's got to offer. Travis Jones out of UConn was a second-round pick a couple years ago. Broderick Washington's been in the league for a while. Justin Matabike, Angelo Blackson spent years with the Texans, and Brent Urban was with the Cowboys for a minute. So they've got a pretty good group of guys, but no one like really stands out other than Michael Pierce is probably a top 6 defensive tackle in the league.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with everybody's favorite Hard Knocks team, the Jets. Here at where are we at even? 20.
Well, this is 24.
24. Okay. I had them a little bit higher than that. So obviously the big name there is Quinnen Williams, who finally got his braces off and has just been really good the whole time he's been in the league. Maybe a little bit not his first year. He had again some growing pains, but yeah, very good on the interior. Carl Lawson around him, Quentin Jefferson, Will McDonald IV, Solomon Thomas. So yeah, I'll go with the Jets there.
Yeah.
Hansel Smart, sir.
Hansel Smart, I remember that name. Let's see here. I think I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts next.
It's my next best.
All right. Yeah. Kwity Paye
Hey.
and DeForest Buckner are anchoring that team. Samson Ebukam is solid. Grover Stewart is meh.
He's good against the run.
Yeah. According to what, PFF?
No. Just according to me knowing things.
I like that. Taekwon Lewis. I'm not big on Taekwon Lewis's game much, but Taven Bryan I still think is an okay piece inside. Dio Odengbo. I actually don't know that name very well because I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. Eric Johnson's also a rookie, but that's way easier to say.
Yes, much.
I actually liked Eric Johnson as a potential Lions flyer in the 5th round, but he went earlier. McTelvin Ajim is in this, and they took a steal, which one I thought was one of the steals in the draft was Ade Adebawore out of Northwestern. Yeah, and then Gennard Avery, I think it is. He'd also been in the league for a while. But yeah, with Paye and Buckner, and then some decent, depth pieces. And like I said, Stewart and Ebukam, and they're fine. They're there. They're not gonna screw you on a regular basis. So it's still pretty solid, especially at this point where we're taking them at 25. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah. Okay, a team I really don't think should fall any lower just for the sheer fact that one man is on their team. I'm gonna go with the Los Angeles Rams. If it wasn't for Aaron Donald, this might be the worst. This might be 32.
I would say it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Aaron Donald is just a man. He's just the man. So I feel like there's a couple other teams that just have a bunch of dudes, but like one recognizable name left. And the Rams are definitely the best of all of those teams that have at least one really good player. So I'm gonna go with basically Aaron Donald. If Aaron Donald,
I'm just trying to think of another team that has like a really good defense. Like, let's say I say Vita Vea or Daron Payne or something like that, and like just good defensive tackle, other outside of Aaron Donald. I still think if Payne or Vea was on the Rams instead of Donald, I'd still probably rank them 31 or 32. Like is that the difference maker, right?
yes.
Is that the catalyst?
Yeah. If it was just Aaron Donald listed and no other names, I don't think he should be that. Like he should be 25 at the low or 26 at the lowest.
Okay.
It was a bunch of like, Pop Warner. Like I'd be like,
That's fair. So my next available is 24th, and we're taking at 27 here. That's the Saints. With Cameron Jordan right there. Brian Brzee They
Mhm.
draft this year out of Clemson. They've had Carl Granderson, who's just been fine. Colin Saunders off the Chiefs is a solid pickup. Nathan Shepard, I think was with the Bills for a minute there. Tano Passano, that guy also has been passed around. He's been passing on around. Malcolm Roach, Isaiah Foskey, Jabari Zuniga, Peyton Turner, a former, he's at least first 40 picks a couple years ago. And then Michigan quarterback Alex Orji's wife, brother, Anthony Orji is on that roster.
Anthony Orji. Great name.
Fantastic.
Great name. All right. I next am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons. It's a retirement home, basically. Grady Jarrett, Calais Campbell, David Anyamama or Anyamata. Anyamama.
Anyamata. He did good.
Yeah, but they're old, but they're good vets who are solid at their positions. I don't think anything's really jumping off the page. Bud Dupree is there. Lorenzo Carter.
He's from 20. I think Bud Dupree was in the same Shane Ray class. I think he's 2015 or 2014. Okay. So yeah, it's been a while.
And then we got a couple names for me to pronounce here. Arnold Ebiketie. And Ade
Ogundeji, correct. Ogundeji, nice work. If you didn't know Calais Campbell, how would you say Calais? Would you still say Calais if you didn't know when you first read it?
I'm very good at like A's and I's because of my name Isaiah. So
I think it would have been Calais Campbell. I would have been Calais Campbell probably. I would have thought it was silent.
No, I would have said Calais.
Nice. Good work.
Okay.
All right. So that was 28, I think. Yep, 20. So 29 here. Who is still available? I've got, I know you didn't, but I have the Seahawks here next. So yeah, I mean, Draymond Jones, Jaron Reed, some big dudes to fill the middle. But Uchenna Nwosu was from the Chargers as a very athletic edge rusher. And then Daryl Taylor's solid. Boye Mafe, I still like Boye Mafe. I saw a lot of him in Minnesota in Big Ten games. And then when you put two Michigan defensive tackles on the roster, like Brian Monet and Mike Morris, I like you a little bit more. Mario Edwards Jr. is there. Derek Hall, another guy they took relatively early I think he's out of Houston as well. So we'll see how that works. And then Tyreek Smith, also out of Ohio State. So they've got guys that could be good, but probably not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their situation right now, which is why I think it's plenty fair that they're at 29 or 30.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the Broncos next here at 30.
Yeah.
Frank Clark, picked up Frank Clark. I would be lying if I told you I was familiar with almost anybody besides Frank Clark and Zach Allen. So
you got some name pronunciations to do.
I do have. Okay, here we go. PJ Mustipher. There we go.
Yep.
Nick Benito. There we go.
Nice. Okay.
The ones that I'm just looking at the ones that Microsoft Word thinks that are misspelled.
I think that's pretty much the only other ones. There's only one other one that's going to hurt you or give you a stroke.
It's going to hurt my morale. Is it Ayoma? How do you even say that?
Ayoma.
Okay. Uwazaruke.
Wazirike. It's similar to Levi on Wazirike. It's similar to
right. Okay.
Uwazirike.
I just had the Iruke and Irike mixed
up. It's typically Ike when it comes to Nigerian last names. That's why the other one you did for the Chiefs, Felix Anudike is Ike. Okay. Yeah.
Right. What's your
I was gonna say, who am I gonna say for you? That's the big question. I have the Bears. I do have the Bears at 31. I think that means we're matching on 32. I mean, Andrew Billings has been in the league. I think he was with he's been with the Saints and Bengals, I think. Travis Gibson. he basically wore number 99 and played like Khalil Mack last year. I like a Walmart version of Khalil Mack. He did fine. And then Demarcus Walker has been around. Justin Jones, not great. That's not a good Rasheem Green has been a depth piece with the Seahawks for several years, but you can tell they went all in on the draft. Zach Pickens and Gervon Dexter were both highly top 5 defensive tackles in this draft class on most lists. So that should help them. The former Michigan man, Donovan Jeter, you might remember that one. He's on this list. And then Terrell Lewis, I think he went to Alabama. You never know those Alabama guys. They might just play well. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and leave you with that last team that's scrubby.
There's some silver lining with the Bears. I don't know if there's any silver lining with the Cardinals. I don't really even want to say anybody's names because I don't know any of these people.
There's 3 former Lions.
Myjai Sanders.
Myjai Sanders. Yeah, he's out of Cincinnati. Yep. He was on the Cincinnati playoff team.
I'm gonna tell you if I can. I'm gonna tell you if I can figure out the former Lions because I don't know if I can. Is Cameron Thomas a former Lion?
No.
BJ Ojulari.
No. He's a rookie. BJ Ojulari is Aziz's brother, a rookie this year.
Damn it. Kevin Strong. Jeremiah Ledbetter. That sounds
both of those guys. Kevin Strong and Ledbetter are both.
And then who else?
Last guy would be tough to forget because I think he was only in the Lions for like 6 months.
Okay. Jesse Luketa.
No. It's Eric Banks.
Oh, man, it was between those two.
Yeah. And Jacob Slade went to Michigan State.
Okay.
But yeah, I know Myjai Sanders is the guy that's still like he's the elixir potentially because he was one of the studs on the playoff Cincinnati team with Desmond Ridder. So there might be something there. LJ Collier though was a rotational piece for the Seahawks for years. Lecky Fotu is just a fat Samoan, so he might just take up the space. He just takes up the space, right?
Yeah,
It's
nice to have fat Samoans on your defensive. No, there's some teams.
It's fun remembering Dante Stills because he was in I'll have to send you the clip or tweet it at you or something. But there's a video of Dante Stills where he was like super highly touted in high school. By the way, this is a high school game he was playing in, and there's this one running back that was basically Derrick Henry among boys. And he was playing against Dante Stills' defense, but Dante Stills is walking the entire play while his entire team is getting ran over. He's walking, and I was like, "A for effort," apparently.
Yeah.
So I'll have to see if I can find. I'll have to see if I can find that video and then point out what number Dante Stills was, just for kicks. But yeah, it's a bad team. So
it is.
That does change. Let's see how that changes the rankings here.
And then after I have the 2019 draft pulled up.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, we
can speed run it, but
obviously we figured the 49ers would hold on to their lead. They did. The Eagles are second. The Ravens have fallen to 3. They swapped with the Eagles. So and the last place is Cardinals still. And it's funny because they rank.
It'll be interesting to see who 49ers or Eagles ends up at first because they're both very opposite, at least in my rankings on the next two. Like linebackers, I have the 49ers very high and the Eagles very low. And secondary, I have the Eagles pretty high and the 49ers middle-ish.
I don't think the 49ers are going to lose their spot. Full disclosure, next week they're doing very well.
Yes.
And then the last week, I still have them top 15. So I think they have to be bottom for that to happen.
I'll be interested to see where the line is at, though.
So I think the 49ers are my prediction to finish first, despite anything. But but it's going to be the catalyst is how bad their quarterback play is going to potentially be. Was Brock Purdy a fluke? Is he actually still hurt? Trey Lance, is he a bust? Otherwise, you're operating with Sam Darnold. That's not a good situation to be in.
I would really like it if Trey Lance was good, but yeah, we'll see.
So yeah, well, let's hear your 2019.
Okay. Well, we start off 1-1 overall. The Arizona Cardinals picked, and again, we're doing exceeded, met, or missed expectations. Kyler Murray.
He's not good in my opinion, and I think he should have chose baseball, quite frankly.
Yeah, honestly.
I would have loved to see him hit like 275 for like the
I just-
Oakland A's or something.
Yeah, I don't get all these people like standing for Kyler Murray of like, oh, it's just the team, like, oh, just wait. Like, same with Tua. Like, they're just like everybody 5'9" and under is just like, oh, just
It's not a good situation for Kyler Murray, but I don't think he's
No.
helping himself. Like his attitude is getting crappy. On top
no,
of it, like to me, he's starting to
he's
have
never had a
mental
good
breakdown.
attitude.
He's
I feel like
starting
he
to have
never-
a mental breakdown. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely underperformed. But and then number 2 overall, who I think has overperformed as much as a number 2 overall pick can, Nick Bosa, the 49ers.
yeah,
He's
he's good.
One rookie.
He's a top 3 edge rusher. So as number 2, you're expecting him to be a top 10 edge rusher at least, but he's above that.
One rookie of the year that year, and then finally this past year, one defensive player of the year.
It's hard to exceed expectations as a top 3 pick, but I think he did.
But he did. And then I think this next one, I think right in the first 3, we'll pick all 3 outcomes. I think met expectations for me and Williams for the New York Jets.
Well, Williams.
Quinnen.
Oh yeah. I actually think he did a better year last year. Okay, I would say
he's starting
because
to
of his year last year. I'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, if he just goes back to his first like 2 years, it's not good.
I think he was a bust his first 2 years. So
I think he got the braces off though.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Definite bust. Number 4 overall, Cleveland Farrell. We mentioned him earlier.
Bust.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5th overall selected Devin White.
Met.
Yeah.
Because he's a top 10 linebacker, which is what you should be as a top 5 pick. If he was a top 5 linebacker, I would say sure. But I don't think he's a top 5 linebacker.
The tough thing is though, like with Tom Brady being gone and then probably not being competitive for the next few years, is that he's gonna be there and just be very good and be very under the radar. This one's tough. This one is tough. Number 6 overall, the second quarterback of the draft taken, Daniel Jones in the New York Giants.
That is tough because he's on the up, dude. He's on the up.
He is. At this point, would you say Matt? Like,
as to like the thing, I don't think he's not a bust. He's not a bust anymore. I don't think
he's not a bust anymore.
But he's like a low Met, and I think he's going to be a Met for the next 2 or 3 years until he has to have 4 good years of last year, basically.
Yeah,
for me to put him.
I mean, as a quarterback.
In fact, he may never be an exceed. He may stick at Met.
I think Met is going to be like his ceiling, just because 6 overall, he was always kind of behind the 8 ball, being like a Duke quarterback being picked 6 overall.
I think at that spot though, I think you need to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, and I don't think he'll ever be a top.
Yeah, you need to have some playoff success. You don't have to win a Super Bowl, but you have to have some playoff success. Be like a starting quarterback for 10 years.
Like a lot of Daniel Jones's game, I just think I think he'll never be a top 10 quarterback on a regular basis. So I don't think he might have a year or 2 where he plays like a top 10 quarterback, but I think overall,
if he was picked in the teens, I would be like, oh, definitely
he definitely Met in the teens, yeah.
Okay, next up, Josh Allen. Not the quarterback, the linebacker.
Met,
yeah.
He hasn't been stellar, but he's been really good.
He's been very solid. So, which is what 7th overall you should be.
Yeah.
Another heartbreaking one for us, TJ Hawkinson.
So he's obviously showing that he's capable. He's very solid.
He's good. He has.
But it's
first couple years.
You'll never convince me that it's the right thing to do to take a tight end that early. It doesn't matter. So it's from that breath, unless it's like Kyle Pitts where you can use him as a wide receiver. But I guess maybe he's like a low Met.
Yeah, as far as a first round tight end goes, I mean,
but top 10. top 10. If you're a tight, I mean, it's not his fault he was picked top 10 first off, but being the first tight end taken, being a top 10 pick, and then not consistently solid, not a consistent Pro Bowler, then I don't like it.
Okay, next we are going just a murderer's row of who the Lions could have picked instead. Ed Oliver for the Bills.
So it's interesting though, because I like that Oliver. I wanted that
I did
pick
too,
there,
yeah.
but he is actually barely
I'd say
met, in
met.
my opinion. I would
Yeah.
I say barely met, to be honest.
See, I mean, he's top 10
there's some
overall.
good things about his game, but I remember him being like this freak athlete where people were, the RAS
Sure.
scores that Ken Palm always like posted. The RAS scores, he would post them at different positions, and Ed Oliver would still have like a 9 out of 10 at like safety and linebacker. And I'm like, because he's an athletic freak, he put up crazy numbers, but he hasn't. I mean, you got to put up some big sacks and run stops and losses, tackles for a loss. And I don't see enough of it.
Right. Okay, next up, Michigan man. First Michigan player taken, Devin Bush for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Expectations. He's
was that?
barely on a roster right now. He's the
Right.
third
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
He's the third linebacker for the Seahawks right now.
Yeah. No, I was surprised he was picked that.
I mean, it was for his. I mean, he ran a crazy 40. He's super fast.
Sure.
He's
He had
athletic.
a great comment.
But did you see that the guy that set the record for the fastest 40 retired today?
Ooh, Chris Johnson?
John Ross.
Oh.
John Ross. He just retired today.
Oh, wow. Jeez. Okay, Jonah Williams, offensive tackle.
There's a couple Jonah Williams in the league. I'm trying to think of what one that is.
Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle.
Okay.
White guy, number 73.
Both of them are white. Anybody named Jonah is typically a given. Let's see.
I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
I do, but it's like he's not. To me, he's barely met because again, he was the first tackle taken. Right? That's not good.
Yeah. Take your word for it. Number one high school recruit, Michigan player picked by the Packers, Rashawn Gary.
I remember his mom calling into a local radio show. His mom, Jennifer, calling into Big Drew and Jim. And like Big Drew and Jim were ripping on him because he didn't have the sack numbers at Michigan his senior year. And his mom's like, he wasn't told to. He was told to play an anchor position. And I'm like, you know what? That's what he's doing right now in the NFL. But the problem is he's rotating. So he's a barely met for me. Just because
I would say
you shouldn't be barely rotating. You should be
I would say honestly, just the hype that he had, I'd say underperformed. Honestly.
Yeah, that works. I mean, to me, he's barely met. So
okay, Christian Wilkins.
He's good. I mean, he's in the NFL's top 100 list too. I think he was 82. Right. I would say he's a high net. He's almost exceed.
Yeah. A name I'm not familiar with. Chris Lindstrom, guard for
the Falcons. Yeah, did he go to Boston College? I'm trying to.
He did.
He's okay. He's an okay guard. Yeah, he's net.
Oh no. Okay. 15 overall, Washington Redskins, Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins.
R.I.P. I mean, even in his playing days, he was
underperformed.
He was underperformed. He wasn't good as a quarterback, but it's sad that he died that way. It's sad that he died cheating on his wife.
Yeah, Ohio State quarterbacks just never work out, man.
He was cheating on his wife, so he's a scumbag, kind of. You know, I don't say anyone deserves to die, but the woman that was with him in the car, the woman that was with him in the car was not his wife, and she was drunk.
Okay. Carolina Panthers 16 overall Brian Burns. I would say yeah.
To me, he's a top 12 edge rusher, and now you're in the teens where it's okay to be a top 12 edge rusher.
Yeah, I'd agree. New York Giants at 17 overall, Dexter Lawrence.
Matt, maybe. He's been okay. Yeah. I don't know, actually. I might put him as a low Met. He's a low Met.
Yeah, I would still give him Met.
Okay, it's just the fact that he's a first rounder, and I'm like, he's an average defensive tackle.
True. Garrett Bradbury, center for the Vikings.
I think he's a borderline Met guy too, just because it's like he's not even a top 8 center in my opinion right now in the league. And your first round center be a little bit better. I don't even know if I
Yeah,
put him at
top
top
center.
10. I'd probably rank him like 12th best center in the league. So I guess maybe Matt, barely.
Okay, Jeffrey Simmons for the Tennessee Titans.
He was a guy I had a lot of concerns about coming out of college because he had major behavioral issues. He was suspended multiple times. I think he had to switch schools, but he just got a nice contract for himself, and he's played pretty well for the Titans. He's one of the bright spots you talked about when you were ranking the defensive line.
Would he be exceeded?
What's that?
Maybe. Would you say he exceeded though? He has exceeded expectations.
He earned a mammoth contract, but that's also the pendulum swing of today's NFL. So I don't know if that's necessarily like reciprocal of that. I would say he's a high Matt to me though.
Yeah. Okay, Noah Fant, tight end for the Broncos. I think
he's athletic, but he's not better than Hockenson, and he's a teen. He's picked in the teens, tight end. So again, it's not his fault where he's drafted. I would say barely Matt.
Yeah, I might say underperformed because I thought they were low. So
I wish it was not so much like great. Like it's like barely met. That's not even a grade that we're giving. It's like 1 of 3. And hearing I'm just like, yeah, he's kind of
you're just towing the lines. Darnell Savage, safety for the Packers at 21.
Got a breakout this year. He's been so far, I would say underperformed. But
yeah,
he's definitely had good games, but he's not been. He's another guy where I could say barely met, but I'm going to say underperformed.
And Andre Dillard, tackle for
underperformed.
Yeah. Another tackle, Titus Howard at the Texans. I would also.
He's very average, maybe. I would say
underperformed as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say underperformed. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, running back. I would say at least Matt.
Top 5 running back in the league right now. I think almost unanimously.
So
I would say exceed. Yeah.
Is he the first running back taken that year? Yeah, he was. Okay, Marquise Hollywood Brown.
Underperformed.
He had so much hype, dude. So much hype.
Right. Way too much hype.
Yeah. Montez Sweat, Redskins.
Yeah, he's met.
Yeah.
The big concern with him, he actually was supposed to be even a higher pick. He probably could have gone top 10 even in some aspects, but he had a heart condition.
Right.
So he slipped because of that. But yeah, still an athletic freak. He put up crazy numbers at the combine.
Yeah. Okay, Oakland Raiders 27 overall, Jonathan Abram as safety.
Bust. I don't even know if he's on a team right now.
Yeah, I don't think yeah, definitely bust. Chargers Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle.
He's the guy that I talked about. He was with the Chargers for a while. Now he's on a new team this year. I don't think he's like anything special though. Yeah. I'm gonna say he's
still first round. Yeah,
he's
LJ Collier for the Seahawks.
Miss. That's the other. He's on the Cardinals now. He's the reason he's the best edge lineman on the Cardinals.
Right. Yeah. Giants DeAndre Baker, cornerback. I would have
miss. Wasn't that the guy? Didn't he have like the gun issues? He had the gun issues. He was like let go. I don't think he's on the roster. I don't know if he's in the NFL.
Anytime your Wikipedia starts off with who played football for the Giants, it's like
I think he's out. He had like the gun felonies.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, you are right. 2 alleged robbed guests at gunpoint. Yep. Okay. Him and Quentin Dunbar.
The Lions actually signed Quentin Dunbar and then they released him like within a month.
Yeah, I remember that. That's why I remember that. Okay. 2 left. Caleb McGarry.
The tackle for the Falcons. Yep. I want to say he's underperformed. Yeah. I don't think he's a starter right now.
And then I think underperformed as well. N'Keal Harry from Patriots.
Yeah, definitely is underperformed.
People thought like, oh, he's gonna be so good. Nope.
He's bad. Yeah.
Just a couple highlights from later rounds, but there is Deebo Samuel at 36 overall for the 49ers. Big steal. Let's see. AJ Brown, 51 overall for the Titans. Big steal. Huge steal. Yep. McCall Hardman at the Chiefs.
Wasn't DK in that class too? Yeah, DK was in that class.
DK, I was going to say 64 overall. DK definitely exceeds expectations.
I think more people were shocked that his teammate people were more shocked that his teammate AJ Brown went ahead of him, but I actually think AJ Brown's a better receiver right now in the league than DK Metcalf.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, yeah. Very good wide receiver class this year. McCole Hardman, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin. Like very good wide receiver class. And then I'm just looking. Max Crosby, 106 overall, Eastern Michigan grad.
Oh,
Tony Pollard, 128 overall. That might be the
and
steal.
he's a top 8 running back right now.
That might be the steal of the draft. Hunter Renfrow at 149 has worked out great at the Raiders.
You had a mediocre year last year, but
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just looking at ones that pop up. Jake Bailey, punter for the Patriots, 160.
Jake Bailey,
Possibly
Pro
the
Bowl
best,
punter.
one of the best punters in the league. But yeah, and then I don't see really anybody else in these later rounds who's made a huge impression. Myles Gaskin.
I mean, he's back down to like earth though. He's like the
Sure.
fourth running back.
But he was picked 234th overall.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, there we are. Scotty Miller. Ooh, Scotty Miller, 208 overall.
That's a name.
Dude, there's so many good wide receivers, honestly, in this draft class. Like, it's crazy. All right.
Next week, do we get to do 2018?
Darius Slayton, New York Giants. There we go.
It's true. He's still a top 3 wide receiver.
170 overall, dude.
We get to do 2018 next week with the linebackers.
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick preview. 2018. We have the highs and the lows because Baker Mayfield was taken 1 overall. So yikes. This is the infamous like a billion quarterbacks draft because in the top 10
I was going to say there's like 5 quarterbacks that were taken in that first round or something.
In the first round, yeah, you have Lamar Jackson at 32, but then you have
Darnold, Mayfield,
Josh Allen, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Yikes. So that'll be fun. All right.
Man, well, I hope your rest of your week goes well. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week for linebackers in 2018.
All right. See you.
See you.